Good morning. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome Andrew with today's announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 1st, and it's a green day. Mr. Lejean's and Miss Bailey's C Block classes will meet in Colby 307 today. See you after first lunch. Attention seniors, the 2025 Senior Prom Committee meets in Fuller Basement today at 2:45. All seniors are welcome to join. See the class canvas page for more information. There will be a brief informational meeting for the Peru trip today at 3 o'clock in Mr. Brown's classroom in Newell. All are welcome to come find out more about the adventures we're planning in Peru this November. If you're interested in the trip but can't make it today, please email Mr. Brown or Miss Reed. Join us in Spanish Club this week. We are starting to plan events for spring and spring day. We can help you review and practice speaking. See Senora Woods or Profe Elizalde for more information. We meet on Wednesdays from 3:30 to 4:30 in Newell 13. And if you're at a class council meeting today, you can also make it to the informational meeting right after that. Happy birthday today to ZZ Davis and Kevin Zhang. Happy birthday. Thank you and have a great day.
So over the last couple of weeks, we've had the opportunity to enjoy and also celebrate some of our international connections. We had our Kaijo students here, and many of you had the opportunity to interact with them. Many of you hosted them, of course. We've also just heard about our international travel opportunities for next year and domestic as well. But we have the blessing of many connections where we can get out and see different parts of the world and experience things that we certainly can't experience right here in St. Johnsbury. And we also have the blessing of a connection with a school in Korea that I know you've heard about as we've talked about, St. Johnsbury Academy, Jeju. I've shared a bit about Jeju and the campus there before, and as you've heard in chapel already, we welcomed 2 of our faculty members from the Jeju campus, and one of their first comments when they arrived a little over a week ago was, wow, it's amazing to pull onto campus and see the Colby Bell Tower in person. And as you've seen in some of the pictures, the bell tower actually features prominently in a couple places on the Jeju campus. When you walk into the high school, there's a mural that you see right away, and it has some of the Jeju topography, the mountains of Jeju, and then there's a Colby bell tower that's sort of superimposed in the mountains. And for me, it was a very surreal experience. And then if you've remembered some of the images, and you'll know that there are only a couple of Hilltopper mascots in the world. One of them is in Western Kentucky. So Western Kentucky, they're the Hilltoppers. So it is a little odd. It's a unique mascot. So to go around the world and to see another group of kids wearing Hilltoppers and seeing them with, again, the bell tower and all these images that, for us, we see as unique and part of this small campus in a rural part of a rural state, it is a really special thing that 8 years ago, St. Johnsbury Academy, Jeju, was founded. One of our goals between the 2 campuses is for our campuses to be a little better connected. We've had, obviously, a global pandemic put a bit of a wrinkle in some of the connections that we've had with Jeju. So they're 8 years old. Some of our faculty and administrators have been there, but most have not. And we have some goals over the next years of getting you as a student body better connected with some opportunities on Jeju's campus. So more to come on that. We'll talk more about possibilities of short-term exchange for students and possibly semester-long exchange. As you know, we do have Jeju students who come here. We have usually about 5 who come in the spring semester. But today, it's my pleasure to turn the stage over to Ms. Christensen in just a moment here. She and Ms. Emerson teach in the English department, or have been teaching in the English department and art department respectively. Unfortunately, Ms. Emerson is not feeling well today, so Ms. Christensen is going to take the show. But the goal of today is for you to see some images and hear a bit more about the Jeju campus and Ms. Christensen's experience. So very briefly, her background: Ms. Christensen has been at Jeju for 3 years. She's taught internationally for 15. She is the English department chair, and she teaches AP Lit, Senior Capstone, and Grade 10 English. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Christensen.
Good morning. So I want to show you a little bit about Jeju itself, so you have an understanding of the context of our school, and then show you some things about St. Johnsbury Jeju, and then a little bit of kind of comparison contrast between the two schools. Although Christine's not able to be here today, these are her qualifications. So she went to Western University, Canada, Queen's, and UNK. She taught in Bahrain for a number of years, where I believe she met her husband there. And this is her lovely family. I think these are some of her pieces of art. As you can see, she's quite talented. As for me, I went to Montana State University for my master's and the University of Oregon for my bachelor's degree. I'm from Seattle. This is about a mile from my parents' house. And I've been in Asia, traveling around Asia, mostly Korea and Taiwan, for the last 15 years. All right, so about Jeju. So if you can see on the bottom of this map, that tiny little island down there, that's where Jeju is. It has a really dynamic culture, arts, media, nature, food, and activities. There's a plethora of things to do on Jeju. Notably, Jeju is known for being a volcanic island, and it also houses South Korea's tallest mountain, Mount Hallasan. You can really see traditional Korean culture present in Jeju. There are both traditional villages that preserve traditional culture, and also stone houses that are still to this day standing as they did hundreds of years ago. There are lots of symbols of culture around Jeju. This is called a Dol Harubang, and it's a guardian figure that symbolizes protection, fertility, and good fortune. Jeju is known for these stone walls built out of volcanic stone. It's quite beautiful. There are many Buddhist temples throughout Korea. This one is about a mile from my house. Farming is a really significant part of industry in Jeju. So there are oranges, broccoli, cabbage, onions, and other crops that are grown and sold. As you can see, there's beautiful beaches. This is quite special. It's maybe a little bit hard for you to see on the screen, but there's a female diver, a free diver called a henyo, who goes fishing for abalone and octopus. The henyo are considered a UNESCO World Heritage group of people, living heritage. More beautiful Jeju. There are boats that line the coast at night. It lights up the coast, and squid are dried and eaten in strips like a snack, kind of like you would have beef jerky. And tourism is huge in Jeju. It's often considered a honeymoon destination, but here's a group of tourists. Korean food often includes rice and sides, and those sides are called banchan. And cafes are so common that, in fact, there are approximately 1,800 cafes on the tiny island of Jeju. Cafe culture is huge in Jeju. Jeju is well known for having a lot of museums. Some are better than others. Some of them are a bit kitschy. Others are more serious. So we have a Hello Kitty museum. We have a teddy bear museum. We also have fine art museums with pieces from Picasso and Salvador Dali on the island. Right now, Mr. Lipson and Mr. Rice are enjoying the spring cherry blossoms. Those are blooming right now. But Jeju does get a lot of snow on the mountain in winter. Not a ton in the lower elevations, but definitely a lot on the mountain. In the winter and in the fall, there are other things like the canola flowers and the pink grass that are notable tourist attractions. Also the ginkgo leaves and the oranges. Okay, so that's Jeju. That's what Jeju looks like, gives you an idea of where we're situated. Now I want to introduce St. Johnsbury Academy Jeju, the school, and what we've got going on there. This picture actually shows only a part of the school. The high school and middle school is not pictured in this photo. The school is quite large. In the foreground, you can see the elementary school, and in the background, you can see the field house and the boarding houses. Here's the high school building and the middle school building. So just to give you an idea of the secondary school, go back. We follow very much the same kinds of schedules that you guys follow. We'll get into more detail about that later. This is the project that Mr. Lenzini was talking about, the bell tower. This was done by Miss Emerson and a group of students for Founders Day. Here's our Hilly the Hilltopper mascot. This was part of a scavenger hunt activity that we did with new faculty. All right, student activities. Students are really active on campus. So people participate in plays, sports, dance, MUN, you name it, there's a group that does it. One thing that's quite special about the Jeju campus is that we have both an elementary and middle school. Here's our elementary faculty. Gives you an idea of the place. We do have a nice swimming pool. We're quite lucky to have that. And some more students receiving awards, participating in science fair presentations. SJA Jeju is an English immersion school, so students are expected to speak English at all times while at school. We have a house program, 6 houses. Dongmogun, Oram, Haebyeon, Som, Pokpo, and Shikmoji. These are terms taken from Jeju dialect, representing the mountains, the sea, the flowers, etc. So we compete throughout the year, and then students who win the award at the end of the year receive some sort of prize. We have students that have been at the school since elementary school, since the school began. So here are two students. You can see how they've grown and changed. Daniel Lee is in grade 12. You can see him way back in the day, and Jessica Kim graduates this year. Here's a glance at our middle school. Students participating in talent shows and assemblies. We have a thriving sports program. We do quite well in sports. Here's our baseball team. And I had to throw in a picture of my volleyball boys varsity team, who placed second at KESAC, and we're quite proud of them. More pictures of our house program. You can see the students divided by group. So what's nice about the house program is there's students throughout the school of every age group in that house. So we do have a little bit of older brother, older sister, younger sister type mentorship that happens. Here are some of our theater productions. We did Grease last year in the high school, and we did Aladdin last year in the elementary school. We do quite a bit of field trips for science, service learning. You can see students out in action. And students are really involved in inquiry-based learning in the classroom. There's our middle school staff. All right, so here's the nitty-gritty about Korean culture and the GEC environment. So there's some tough things about living in Korea and living in the GEC. One of the things is that we have to be quite careful with politics. Some things maybe are not taboo, but are discouraged. So religion, divorce, same-sex marriage, topics like that are not a regular part of conversation. Suicide is a major problem, as well as online bullying. The IMF crisis that happened in 1997 is still affecting Korea today. Korea got very rich very fast, and they're afraid of losing or returning back to the past and everything that they gained within that short time. And the other thing is that it's a very homogenous society, so even black-haired foreigners are not considered Korean or included in Korean culture. More on the IMF crisis. There were mass layoffs, business closures, and economic hardship. And then the economy rebounded, and it shaped public attitude towards financial stability. One thing that we do deal with a lot in Jeju is dealing with plagiarism and formalities. It's the model, the education model in Korea is quite different. Students are taught from a young age that they should copy and mimic from their instructors rather than create. As an inquiry-based school, we're trying to untrain that a little bit. Korean schools are often based on memorization, and college applications in Korea are numeric based, and it's an extremely competitive culture for grades, for careers, and even for beauty standards. Just some kind of quirky information. Tattoos are discouraged. It's changing, but it's very uncommon for anyone above a certain age to have a tattoo. No one will hold the door for you if you walk in a room and someone's coming in behind you. Also, Koreans like to hold hands and cuddle within their gender group. It's not sexual, but rather a way of showing care and familiarity. And also, things that are appropriate to show in the West are not appropriate to show in Korea. So girls will show their legs, but not their upper body. In terms of Korean teens, there are what we call wild geese parents. So the parents are working separately or far away from students. Father might travel and do business far away while the rest of the family lives on Jeju. Korean parents are really big on attendance. They will send their kid to school regardless of whether they're unwell or not. Sleep is not a priority. In fact, students brag about how little sleep they got. And hagwons are a really big part of, hagwons are academies that students take extra lessons after school, and they're a really big part of Korean culture. It's considered a privilege to be able to attend academy and to afford it. Your college reputation and where you go to university is considered extremely important, and there are really tough beauty standards and expectations of what it means to be beautiful. This was written by Christine, but I think it applies to me as well. Why I've stayed so long. There are really hardworking students. There's a strong support for the arts. There's a safe community, and it's a safe country as well. I've left my cell phone on the steps of a Starbucks and come back a half hour later and it's still there. It's a great location to travel the rest of the world. You get the best of the comforts of home, and it's a beautiful island. In terms of what's cool in Korea, K-pop idols are cool. Huge number of people come for K-pop tourism. There's a boom in literature because of the Nobel Prize winner for literature, Han Kang. And brand names are a really big deal, wearing the right brand at the right time. So Uggs, Balenciaga, Supreme, Woo Young-mi, Junjae, Stussy, and other brands are quite popular. The color analysis, if you guys are familiar with that, is quite trendy. And then MBTI, the Myers-Briggs personality assessment, is considered an icebreaker for a lot of Koreans. They'll ask you, what's your MBTI? In terms of beauty, it's considered beautiful to have a small face, pale skin, be very thin, have straight eyebrows, big lips, double eyelid, and what they call aegyosal, which is kind of a fat underneath the eyelid. In terms of culture, their students don't really want to stand out as individuals. They would much rather fit into the group. That's really a priority. Okay. So we have a list, kind of a compare-contrast between Jeju and Vermont. Jeju, the food is maybe healthier but not as tasty as what we've had here. Here in Vermont, we've noticed that the school is quite charming and that there's an interest in preserving history, whereas Jeju is new and modern. Here in Vermont, you have a ton more course choices: fashion, woodworking, cooking, auto shop. In Jeju, the cafe is only for staff until after school. Here in Vermont, you guys have chapel every day, whereas we have assembly once a week. The dorms are home style here in Vermont, but they're kind of a big apartment building in Jeju. Here in Vermont, you have a dress code but no uniform, whereas we have a strict uniform. We both have, in Jeju we have Hilly the Hilltopper mascot. Here in Vermont, you have much more international trip options. In Jeju, we have both elementary and middle school students. And in Vermont, you guys have different buildings for different subjects, which is quite interesting. Sports are celebrated and practiced here in Vermont. There's a wider income divide here. The students in Jeju are all well off. In Jeju, there's more diverse teachers in terms of nationalities. We have teachers from all around the world. And here in Vermont, you have really cool opportunities for driver's ed. You have XBLOT, you have sign language, you have your therapy dog, you have barista. So you have a lot of really cool things going on here. That's all I have for my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Ms. Christensen, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's a pleasure having you and Ms. Emerson on campus. I know when Mr. Rice and Mr. Lipson get back, they'll have stories to share with you as well. Have a great day, faculty.